Yes, everyone is here. So before we do a quick formal introduction on my name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'm a cybersecurity trainer certified from EC Council. EC Council being the leading organization for trainings and certifications in the domain of cybersecurity. Okay. And the demo that we're going to take up today is on a course called Certified Ethical Hacking version 12. Now, this is the latest version of the course running. Okay, every year the version gets updated and newer topics on newer technologies are included in the course contents. Okay, and the older, outdated concepts are definitely redacted or okay. Now, before we get into the demo, I need to clarify a certain misconception among students. So, a lot of students assume hacking and ethical hacking is one and the same term, and it can be used interchangeably. But again, that's a wrong idea, guys. That's a wrong concept. Okay, these are two different, very different things. Okay, so let me explain the difference in them with their definitions first. Okay, so when you talk about hacking, firstly, hacking is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. Now, what I mean by that phrase, gaining access to information systems, is if I were a hacker and if I've got access to your devices, it basically means I've got remote connection to your device, whether it be your phone, your laptop, your web application server, your database, whatever it be. I've got remote connection to it and I can remotely access the data on it, which means I can remotely, again, modify any data file on your system. I can delete your files, I can download your files, I can sell your files to other people, do whatever I want to with it. Okay. And all of this is done without the permission and without the knowledge of the person or the organization owning those systems. Okay, so you won't even have a clue that someone has got access to your system and someone is performing these attacks internally. Okay, so this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit or sometimes even just for fun. So they're sometimes just mischievous, trying to cause havoc, or again, most of the times they do it for their own benefit. They can steal your data, sell it online, or again, as mentioned, destroy it just out of no purpose. Okay. Now, if hacking is such a malicious task, if it is such a criminal activity, why do we have a course called ethical hacking is the main question. And how is this getting ethical in the first place? To define ethical hacking, on the other hand, it is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. Now, this term called vulnerability is something that you'll keep coming across multiple times throughout the course. Okay, I'll keep repeating this word vulnerabilities a lot of times. Okay, to define it, it's a loophole, it's a flaw or a weakness, I would say, in the security of the application or your device or the organization's security. Okay, so again, as mentioned, ethical hacking is the procedure of trying to find these loopholes in the information systems with the consent and with the knowledge of the organization owning those systems. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the loopholes which the attackers are utilizing or taking advantage of to get access to your systems. So once you find that loophole, once you find what that weakness is, you report it back to the company. And once it is reported, they will patch it up. They'll apply the necessary security update so that no other hacker can exploit or take advantage of those vulnerabilities. Okay. Participant has set the caption language to Hindi. Not sure if the captions might be correct, guys. But again, if anyone needs certain explanations in Hindi, do let me know. At least if there's something which is tough to understand, I'll explain it again in Hindi if needed. Okay. So as mentioned, when you talk about ethical hacking, it is a procedure of finding loopholes in information systems so that you can report it to the company. And once the loopholes are reported, they'll patch it up. They'll apply the necessary security updates so that you can prevent hackers from performing any cyber threat or any further harm. So in ethical hacking, you're trying to protect the organization from hackers by finding the loopholes first and reporting and remediating them or rectifying them. Okay. Is that clear? Guys, any questions or doubts up to this point? Kiran, Vinod, Vishwanath, Pava, Niharika. Any questions regarding hacking or ethical hacking? Again, guys, let's keep this a two-way session. If you have any doubts or any queries, please do let me know. Let's keep this a bit interactive and fun. Okay, so do not hesitate to let me know, guys, if you have any questions, because again, I will clarify them until you understand in simpler language. Okay, so again, the more easier you find this or more easier you find it to understand, the more interesting it will seem. Okay, so again, if you don't understand anything, you might seem I'm boring you out. Okay, So again, let's keep this interactive. Again, do not mind. I don't mind any interruptions. So you can interrupt me at any certain point and ask your questions. Okay. Now, depending on these two definitions of hacking and ethical
Sir,
hacking. Yeah.
hello, excuse me. Yeah, sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
Yeah, here uh, cybersecurity is what is the part of this security, and what is it including the ethical hacking, or what is
Good
uh,
question, Kiran. To clarify that, cybersecurity is your domain. Just like how you have networking as a domain, just like how you have, I would say, programming as a domain. Cybersecurity is a domain which involves you keeping your organizations secure, okay, or up to date with the latest security patches so that you can prevent hackers. And in order to keep them secure, you perform ethical hacking as an operation. Okay, so ethical hacking is the task or the job that you do in the domain of cybersecurity. Okay. So just like how you have networking, and in networking you have multiple features, like multiple operations like switching, routing, okay, or again setting up your firewalls. So all those operations are again included in networking. Similarly, ethical hacking is an operation that you perform, a task that you perform in cybersecurity to keep your organizations secure, okay, from hackers. Is that clear?
yes, yes, thank you.
Right. Now, depending on those definitions of hacking and ethical hacking, guys, we have the categories of hackers. So there's three main or three broad categories. There's someone known as a white hat hacker. There's someone known as a gray hat hacker. And then there's someone known as a black hat hacker. To define each of them, when we take the example of a black hat hacker first, this is someone who performs hacking for his own benefit or just for fun without asking for consent. So these are people who perform hacking, okay? And they're commonly also known as cyber criminals. On the other end, or on the opposite side, you have someone known as a white hat hacker. White hat hackers are ethical hackers, okay, who perform again ethical hacking or abide by the laws and policies of the organization. They work in the boundaries that are set by the organization and work for the securing of it. So they find the loopholes and report the loopholes so that the organization can again remediate them or patch them up. So they are also commonly called as white hat hackers or penetration testers or ethical hackers. And in between, there's a third category called gray hat hackers. Now, these are people who have both the qualities of a black hat hacker as well as a white hat hacker. So, like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first. Okay, they don't again ask the permission, or they don't take any consent from the organization. But once they find a vulnerability, or once they find a loophole, they definitely report it back to the company, like a white hat hacker. So, like a white hat hacker, without misusing it, they report it back to the company so that the company can patch it up. But there is a minor condition, there's a minor catch. They don't do this for free. They do it in return for a bounty. A bounty is like a financial reward that they expect in return for reporting that vulnerability. Okay, because again, they're doing your job of an ethical hacker itself. So when they're doing that job, why would they do it free? They in return expect a bounty, a financial reward for it. So thereby they work both offensively and defensively at various times. Again, in the end, the objective is for the betterment of the company itself for a minor financial benefit on themselves. Okay. So that is why, since they have both the properties of black hat hackers and white hat hackers, they're called as gray hat hackers. And they're also commonly known as bug bounty hunters. They're people who find bugs in organizations' security for a bounty in return. Hence the name bug bounty hunters. Okay. Is that clear? Any questions in this slide? Anyone? Vishwanath, Kiran, Niharika, Pawan.
Sir, can you please explain once again? Black hat.
Yeah, black hat
Yes.
hackers are the cyber criminals, right, Kiran? So as mentioned, the people who perform hack, the people who want to take advantage out of loopholes on organizations are the people who are called as black hat hackers. They're also commonly known as cyber criminals who perform
Outside
attacks.
outside
Sorry.
the organization.
Yeah, outside the organization from externals, the people who perform cyber threats, the people who perform attacks on organizations externally, again for their personal benefit, are called as black hat hackers. Okay, commonly known as cyber criminals. Is that clear?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Did you cover also bounty contents also here?
A part of it is covered in this power. Again, when you talk about bug bounty hunting, as mentioned, it is finding loopholes in the organization's websites So part of it, which is called as web application penetration testing, is included in this course. So this course is an accumulation of pen testing on different endpoints, whether you talk about mobile security, whether you talk about system security, whether you talk about network security, whether you talk about database security, whether you talk about web application security. All parts of that, all those endpoints are included in this one single course, but only up to intermediate level. So again, once this course is done, you select a certain domain of your choice and do the specialization in this. So this course is a foundational course for cybersecurity to understand the security in all aspects. Okay. Once you go through that intermediate level course, then you can choose a certain specialization. So bug bounty in itself is a different course. Okay. But a part of it is included in this one. Okay. Introduction to it and up to intermediate level. Some loopholes are included in this course. Is that clear? Pava?
Yes.
Right. Okay, let me check the chat box. Certain cybersecurity jobs are available or not in India. Let me clarify that question practically to you, Vishwanath. Okay. So if you want to figure out what jobs are available for cybersecurity, you can go to your browser, search for this website called jobs.null.co.in. This is specifically a website built by an organization called the Null Community. Null Community is a community worldwide known for cybersecurity. And in India, this community has launched a website called Null Jobs. It's been there since a very long time. Okay. These are all the subdomains in cybersecurity. Once this course is done, you can start applying in fields like freshers, or you can start applying it in penetration testing, BAPT, okay, or in SOC analysis as well. So if you click on freshers, you can see these are all the job listings at the moment, as you can see. Okay. And this list keeps getting updated every week, once in a week. Okay. So definitely from this practical again example, you can understand that there are jobs available in India on cybersecurity, and this is only for freshers. If you go for other domains, again, these are other domains in cybersecurity, and the jobs available for it, as you can see. Okay, so I hope this clarifies. Any questions, Vishwanath? I hope I've answered your question. Right. Now, coming back to this, as mentioned, these are the different categories of hackers. Okay. And now these people perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain procedure. That procedure is called as cyber kill chain, or some organizations also call it as hacking cycle. So this is the procedure that allows hackers, or that's something which hackers follow in order to perform a successful cyber attack. And the same knowledge of this procedure allows cybersecurity professionals or ethical hackers as well to understand these cyber threats or to understand these attacks and detect them and prevent them as well at every level of the organization. So this is the same procedure which is followed by both hackers and ethical hackers in order to attack or prevent the cyber threats. Okay. And this cyber kill chain procedure consists of 5 important steps. First step is called as information gathering. Second step is called as scanning. Third step is called as gaining access. Fourth step is called as maintaining access. And the last step is called as reporting or clearing traces. If you carefully observe, only in the last step, there is a choice between 2 different tasks. Either there is a reporting or clearing traces. Reason being, no matter what kind of a hacker you are, whether you be a white hat hacker, gray hat hacker, or a black hat hacker, first 4 steps are exactly similar in the procedure followed by any kind of a hacker. So no matter what category you are, first 4 steps are mandatory and they're followed by every kind of a hacker. What changes is only the end result. So if you are a white hat hacker or a gray hat hacker, you report the vulnerabilities back to the organization. You tell the organization what loopholes exist and how to, again, remediate them or what are the solutions for them. On the other hand, if you're a black hat hacker, you don't report anything, obviously. Once your attack is done, once you've performed your attack and gained the benefit from it, you remove all the evidences. You do not want to be traced out or you don't want to get caught. So that what the black hat hacker or the cyber criminal does is he deletes all the log files and removes his footprints. And that in simple terms is called as clearing traces. Okay. Let me talk about the other steps as well. So you get a brief idea on what the course contents are. So our whole course is going to revolve around these 5 steps itself. Okay. So the first step is called as information gathering. Some organizations also call it as reconnaissance or footprinting. Okay. And the main objective of this step is to gather as much information or data as possible about your target organization. And an important point to note here is all this information is obtained passively. What I mean by passively is you do not contact the organization in any way. And all this information is obtained from third-party sources, especially the internet itself. Okay, so the more information you find, the more data you find or you research about the target organization, the more easier it gets for you, or the more possibilities or more attack vectors you find to launch the cyber threat or to launch the attack. Okay, so the main question that lies here is what kind of information do we need to gather? And that information is listed out here. Now, I won't explain what this information is, guys. Again, as mentioned, that might take a very long time. Okay, but again, to list it out, you need the IP addresses of the organization servers or the network blocks. Network block in the sense the group of IPs belonging to that organization. Then you need something called host records. Then you need something called DNS records. You need the domains of the organization, the subdomains of the organization, operating system information, what OS are they using, employee details, such as the contact numbers of the employees, email addresses of the employees, and usernames and passwords if they got leaked on the internet. Now, believe it or not, all this information is readily available on the internet. All you need to know is what those websites are from where you can retrieve this information. Okay. If I show you a very basic example for this, let's say if I wanted to get the DNS records for a certain organization. DNS records are nothing but the information about the servers of a certain organization, especially their IP address information. So if I want the DNS records of any company, I can just go to my browser, and in my browser, I can search for a website called DNS Dumpster, a very popular website among cybersecurity professionals. So if you click on the first link here, you can search for any organization here. So let's say if we go for wipro.com. So I can just give the URL here, wipro.com, or the domain name. And when I click on search, this starts providing me the records of Wipro. So right now, Wipro at the moment has 4 DNS servers. These are the host names of those DNS servers. Now, don't get confused, guys. Don't worry what a DNS server is. That's quite an in-depth concept. We'll learn about it in the upcoming sessions. Anyhow, okay, I'll explain in detail what a DNS server is, what these records are. Okay, I'll explain everything in detail. But for now, this website DNS Dumpster gives us that crucial information of the IP addresses, the identity of the servers of Wipro. So right now, Wipro has 4 DNS servers, and these are the exact IPs of them. Okay. And these IP addresses are very crucial for a hacker or an ethical hacker to perform the upcoming stages of the attack. So these IP addresses will be utilized in the upcoming phases, such as scanning and gaining access. So right now, Wipro has 4 DNS servers, then it has 1 mail server. Wipro is using Outlook.com for their mail. And this is the exact identity or the address of the server. Okay, very important again, as mentioned. Scroll down. This is the main domain, the main web server, okay, of Wipro. And these are all the subdomains of Wipro, other websites belonging to Wipro, and the server IP addresses on which they are being posted. Okay. Again, guys, this might seem very confusing at the moment because I've not explained what web servers are, what DNS servers are, what mail servers are. But once we start the course, I'll explain everything in detail. Okay. So again, this information is readily available for any organization from this website. Now, believe it or not, this is a very simple website. There are much more complex websites from where you can get more information about any organization. And once all that information is obtained, then you go into the next phase called scanning. But before we dive into that, any questions or doubts up to this point? Vishwanath, Kiran, Niharika, Pawan, or Pawan?
Yes, sir. Actually, this information gathering in the organization, they provide who is provide the this information.
Again, this information is provided by the organization itself, Kiran. So this information is scattered around the internet. This website DNS dumpster is just collecting all that information from various places on the internet and putting it in one single place. So there is nothing illegal in this. This information is provided by the organization itself. So Wipro itself leaks this information out on the internet because when you want to access the servers of Wipro, the organization needs to give out their IP addresses. Unless and until it tells what IP to connect on, we cannot connect on their websites. Okay, so this information is already available on various servers on the internet. DNS dumpster is simply fetching that information and putting it in one single place for you to go through it. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Right.
Like for this DNS means, what is the DNS full form?
To give you a brief a brief explanation about DNS, it's like a contact book application, I would say. So in your phone, you have a contacts application, right? What does that contacts application do? It links every contact name with a phone number, with a 10-digit phone number. So Shoaib, so-and-so number, dad, so-and-so number, mom, so-and-so number, right? Similarly, DNS servers link every domain name of the organization with its IP address. Okay. So right now, Wipro has all these websites, and these websites are hosted on servers, web servers, and that server has an address. So a DNS server links every domain name with its exact IP address. If you don't have a DNS server, when you enter a website like google.com, your browser won't know what to connect on. So when you're typing Google, that connection goes to a server with a public IP. So first it reaches a DNS server. From that DNS server, it knows, okay, google.com is located on so-and-so IP. So I have to connect to that IP. So that's what a DNS server does. It resolves an IP address to a domain name and vice versa, connects an IP to a domain name. This is the domain name. And again, this is the IP address. Sorry, this is the domain name here. And this is the IP address. And a DNS server links both of them together. Is that clear?
Yes,
Kiran?
yes, sir.
Right. Moving forward, now the next phase is called as scanning. So scanning is the phase which is also commonly called as enumeration. This is again a slightly complex phase, guys. Again, where you get some extra information by making active connections or aggressive connections. So an important point to note here is in the earlier phase, you perform information gathering passively. Passively in the sense from other third-party sources on the internet. But in scanning, you get extra information by making active connections, which means you directly connect on the servers of the target. So whatever IP addresses are mentioned here, you launch attacks on these IPs and retrieve information on those servers. Okay. And to again elaborate more on scanning, it can be divided in three parts. There's something called as network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, you figure out on the target organization what all devices are active. So how many web servers do they have? How many DNS servers do they have? How many FTP servers do they have? So we try to enumerate or get information on what all devices are present in the target organization. Once you know what all devices are available, on those devices, you perform port scanning, trying to figure out on those devices what ports are open and what services or what applications are running on those ports. And once you know what applications are running, finally, you perform vulnerability scanning, figuring out if those applications have any loopholes, if those services have any weaknesses to attack on. So it's a step-by-step procedure. You're finding the active devices. On the devices, you're finding what ports are open, what services are running on them. And on those services, you're finding loopholes to attack on. Okay. And during this phase, guys, I'm not elaborating much on it, but to give you a brief intro, we'll be using two very important tools. One is called as Nmap, a very important tool, which is used for network and port scanning. It's been there since 1997. And yet, even in today's world, this is one of the most important tools in cybersecurity. So we'll be working on this tool called Nmap. And there's one more tool called Tenable Nessus. So if you go to your browser, you can search for these tools. Okay. Again, this is again a paid application, which is very expensive actually. So if you click on buy, you can notice it's around $6,000, and that only for 1 year subscription. Okay, so $6,000 is something like 6 to 4 to USD in INR. It's something like 4 lakhs or something, or 5 lakhs in Indian currency. Okay, so organizations use these tools to perform various kinds of scanning. So this is a vulnerability scan. Basically, it tells you in your organization automatically what all devices are vulnerable, what attacks can be performed on them. Okay, but again, you solely cannot depend on a tool. So once this tool gives you an automated report, on that report, you perform manual pen testing. You perform manual attacking part. Okay, so that is in the upcoming phases called gaining access. So again, guys, might seem a bit complex now, but as mentioned, you're trying to get some extra information from the devices directly. Okay, if I have to elaborate on this with an example, let's say we take the example of a bank robbery. Okay, if I were a bank robber, first thing I would do is I would observe the bank externally. Okay, so without anyone noticing me, I will get information about the bank. Okay, so I'll try to observe where are the CCTV cameras installed outside. What time does the bank open? What time does the bank shut down? How many security guards are placed outside the bank? Okay, what day of the week does the money van come in? So this is all information gathering, trying to get information about that bank externally without making any connection. So no one knows that I'm getting information. Okay. Now, not all information can be gathered externally. I need to know the internal infrastructure of the bank as well. So for that, I need to enter the bank. I need to make a connection with the bank. So when I enter the bank, they would definitely know who's entering. I could get captured in their CCTV cameras. But this is a crucial phase. I need to make that aggressive connection to get their internal infrastructure. So once I enter the bank, I get some extra details. Do they have metal detectors inside? Do they have any extra security measures? How many CCTV cameras are there inside the bank? At what floor of the bank is the vault located? So to get all this extra information, I need to make a connection. And that is your scanning phase. And once all this information has been obtained, next step is nothing but robbing the bank, or in our cyber security terms, gaining access. So this is the phase where the real hacking occurs. Okay. So again, attackers use the vulnerabilities or the loopholes found in the earlier phases of information gathering and scanning to now gain access to the target system or to the target application or to the entire network as well. Okay. So this is the phase where the hackers try to perform attacks to get remote connections. Okay. And this is the main core of the subject, guys. It covers a vast variety of modules, as you can see. So these are all the topics covered in it. And again, if you carefully observe, we'll be covering every single endpoint. So first we talk about system hacking. Oh, sorry. Before that, any questions or doubts up to this point? Again, guys, I asked this repeatedly because, as mentioned, these might seem very new to you. These topics might seem, very gibberish at the moment. But as we progress with our classes, I will go in depth and explain everything from the basics. This is just an overview for you to understand what topics are being covered. Okay. So any questions? Kiran, Pava, Niharika. Pava, am I pronouncing your name right? It's Pava, right? Or is it something else?
Pawan, Pawan.
An N missed out there. I
Oh, okay. Okay. I will
no
write.
problem. Right. So any questions, Kiran, Pavan, Niharika?
Excuse me, sir. You said before the
Yes.
slide, can you go the
Oh, you want me to go one step back? No problem.
step,
One second.
that slide? Yeah, this scanning, these network scanning and port scanning and vulnerability scanning, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, here you showing one website like there is purchase for uh, yeah, Nexus or something. So this is a tool we are using in our organization, or what is it?
Yeah. And that's what, as mentioned, these are the tools which are used in real time in organizations to perform vulnerability scan.
As part of this, okay. As part of this, every how many tools are required for this
Oh,
scanning? Like
again, for scanning, again, depends on what the organization, Kiran. They might use with their own various tools as well. But the common standard industry standard tools are these two. There's one Nmap for network and port scanning, and there's Nessus. So there are alternatives as well. This is one of the tools. There's alternatives called Nexpose. There's something called as Qualys. Okay, Qualys scanner. Okay, so there are multiple alternatives. Okay,
this,
IBM Q-Red.
yeah, scanning tools will provide by organization only.
The organization itself, definitely. You don't need to purchase them. Organization has these tools ready for you. You just need to know how to run them, what their functionality is, and how to utilize them properly to run the proper scans in your organization and get the end results. Okay. And in our course, we'll be working on this tool called Tenable Nessus. I'll show you practically how to perform scanning with this tool so that when you go to an organization and they're using this tool, you know how to operate on it. Okay. So it's a quite complex tool. We'll work on how to perform scanning with this tool and these various operations on it. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah. Yes. Is it free of cost for
There is a
the?
version for it. So at the moment, as mentioned, in organization, they go for the pro version, which is again $6,000 or something. But luckily for us, there is a trial version with which we can scan in our local network as well. So again, you don't need to make any payment for this, as mentioned. Whatever tools I've mentioned, most of them are open source or most of them are trial versions. And those are more than sufficient to understand how to run them in real-time scenarios. Okay. So again, we'll be working on all the practical tools that are used in real time. Okay. So just to give you an exposure to what happens in the industry at the moment in cybersecurity. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Moving forward, now we have the next phase called gaining access, as mentioned. I'll list out the topics, guys, because again, me explaining all of these topics one by one might be a time-taking process. But firstly, we have system hacking, where we learn how to crack any Windows operating system password. So whether it be Windows 7, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11, does not matter what version. I'll show you if the system is locked. So let's say you got locked out of your own system from some cyber attack. Then how do you regain that access? How do you regain the access to your own system? Okay. Or how do you crack the passwords of other systems which you're supposed to? So we'll learn how to perform these attacks called system hacking, how to crack or bypass any Windows operating system password. Then comes malware attacks. Malwares are nothing but malicious softwares. There's tons and tons of categories of malwares: viruses, worms, trojans, spyware, rootkit, adware, whatnot. We'll practically learn how to create each of these malwares, how to defend our system from malwares, and how to detect them if they are already installed in our system without our knowledge. There's a bonus concept called malwares advanced. Okay, this is not included in the CH curriculum, guys. I've added this as a bonus topic where if you want to learn how to develop malwares using Python programming, I'll be sharing the resources for that. Again, for this course, there is no requirement for any programming language. This is just a bonus topic. If you're already familiar with Python, this will be helpful for you. If not, you can completely ignore this as well. Then comes network penetration testing, where we learn what are the common network-based attacks. So there's attacks like man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, hacking Wi-Fi routers. So through these attacks, hackers can capture your passwords in the network or shut down remote servers. Okay. Again, send huge amounts of traffic to a server, overload it with traffic and shut it down, or crack the router passwords. All this fall under network pen testing. Then comes social engineering attack, where we learn how do hackers create fake websites. So how do they create fake Instagram or any social media web page or your bank login web page? How do they send this to victims and get their credentials? We learn that in social engineering. And then comes hacking web servers, where we learn how to attack a web server on the backend. So how do you scan a web server for all the services it is running? And how do you attack on those vulnerabilities? Then comes web application penetration testing, where we learn what are the common vulnerabilities in websites. So remember, Pawan, you asked me about bug bounty. This is that topic. So in bug bounty, hackers try, or ethical hackers try to find loopholes in websites. So certain loopholes exist like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, file upload vulnerability. These are certain vulnerabilities that are commonly present in websites. So we'll learn how to check for these loopholes and how to remediate the system when it contains these loopholes. Then comes evading techniques, how to bypass security measures like firewalls, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems. We learn how to bypass these security measures as a hacker. Then comes vulnerability assessment. If you remember in the last class, in the last topic I've mentioned, we have a tool called Nessus. So this Nessus tool gives you a report, and that report cannot be trusted blindly. So once you get that report, you perform penetration testing on it. You manually verify each vulnerability that exists in the report, and you attack on it and check if it is working or not. And that is called as vulnerability assessment, assessing or trying to understand every vulnerability and check if it is truly existing or not. Okay. Then comes hacking mobile phones, where we learn how to check the security of an Android phone. How do you remotely send Trojans to an Android phone and get a remote connection? So if you notice over here, we're covering every single endpoint. We talk about system security, we talk about network security, we talk about wireless security, we talk about web server security, we talk about web application security, we talk about firewall security, and we talk about mobile phone security as well. So all the endpoints that could possibly exist in an organization are covered here. After this is done, then we have the last two phases called maintaining access or reporting or clearing traces. As mentioned earlier, maintaining access is where, I've not explained maintaining access, sorry. So in maintaining access, we learn how to maintain the connectivity with the target system. So once you have successfully attacked the target, how do you maintain that connection? So if the user restarts this device, you still shouldn't lose that connection with him. So that part is called as maintaining connectivity or maintaining access. And then finally, you have reporting or clearing traces, where we learn as an ethical hacker, how do you generate a report for the organization, elaborating all the loopholes and providing the solutions as well. Or as a non-ethical hacker, as a black hat hacker, how do you remove all the footprints? Okay, how do you delete the logs on the files? How do you erase all the evidences and try to stay anonymous or untraceable? So if you notice over here, this whole course is going to run in two tracks. You learn ethical hacking, how to defend systems, and you learn hacking as well, how to attack systems. Okay. And again, as mentioned, in the end of this course, a disclaimer is you need to again utilize all these techniques that we learn in an ethical manner. You don't use this in order to harm any other person or any other organization's crucial confidential information or data. Okay. So again, we'll be learning all these tools required for hacking or ethical hacking, which are used in real-time scenarios, the same exact tools used by hackers or ethical hackers in the industry. Okay. And before you dive into all these advanced concepts, guys, we have a few prerequisites as well. We'll talk about networking, again, where we explain, where again, we'll go through topics like what are IP addresses, what is a DNS server, what is a DHCP server, what are IPv4 addresses. We'll cover all that first. Then we'll learn about how to set up a lab, a practical lab. So we'll be working with an operating system called Kali Linux. If you go to your browser, you can search for this called Kali Linux. Click on the first link here. This is an operating system which is built on the Linux architecture, and this is completely open source, free to download. And the reason why we use this is because this is one of the most important operating systems in cybersecurity. It comes pre-installed with all the tools required for performing various information security tasks. Okay, comes with more than 600 plus tools available for cybersecurity related tasks. As you can see, Nmap, Metasploit, SQL Map, Wireshark, all these tools are pre-installed. Again, tools which are commonly used in the cybersecurity domain. So we'll learn how to perform the lab setup, and then we'll learn how to run Kali Linux, how to understand what the Linux architecture is, what are the commands in Linux. We'll learn all that basics first. After all these concepts are covered, after these prerequisites are covered, then we dive into the hacking cycle, the concepts which you have learned here in the demo. Okay, so we'll go in depth on all these 5 concepts. Okay, so this is the whole course content, guys, what we'll be learning in the duration of 35 days. But you have classes from Monday to Friday every day for 1 hour each. Okay, and in tomorrow's class, guys, I might cover the first topic, which is networking. We'll learn about what IP addresses are in tomorrow's session. Okay, so this is a brief introduction on what the course is. Okay, and tomorrow we'll start the class with networking fundamentals. Okay, is that clear? Any questions or any doubts up to this point? Pawan, Kiran, Raghu. Oh, Raghu, I guess you have joined a bit late. I was just about to end the session. No worries. This session will be recorded and it will be uploaded on YouTube, guys. So if you have missed out the session, you can access this on YouTube from the official DurgaSoft channel. And once you have registered for the course, you'll be getting these recordings on your email as well, on your Google Drive. Okay. So again, this whole week we'll be having demos, guys. Please register if you're interested for this course. Next week, the link is going to change where we dive into the advanced concepts. Okay. Any questions, Kiran, Pawan, or Raghu, before we exit? Okay. As any no questions, guys, please do join the session tomorrow. As mentioned, we'll talk about the first concept in cybersecurity, networking prerequisites. We'll learn about IPv4 addresses. We'll talk about, again, different categories in IP addresses, classes and IPs, okay, public IPs, private IPs. All those concepts will be covered in the session tomorrow. Okay. Have a good day. Thanks for joining today, guys. Please do join the session tomorrow as well without fail. It should be the same link. Okay. And bye-bye. Take care.